Alright, so today we've got a topic that's got the Genshin community buzzing again. And honestly, this one could end up being huge if it pans out. I'm talking about Durin. Yeah, that Durin. The dragon that's been sitting in Genshin lore since forever. For years, people have been speculating about when Hoyoverse would finally bring him into the game. And now, thanks to a fresh round of leaks, we're starting to get an actual picture of what his kit might look like. And let me tell you, if even half of this turns out to be real, Durin might just end up shaking the meta in a way we haven't seen in a long time. Save up to 25% on the current banners at lootbar.gg, especially for the Nodcry release. Lootbar is offering the all-in-one pack and the 6,480 pack for only $69 compared to $100 in-game. That's a $31 saving. I just entered my UID and selected my server. In less than 5 minutes, the gems appeared in my account. As you can see, I received double the amount for my first purchase, just like with in-game top-ups. And remember, the double bonus for your first purchase has been reset in 6.0. Beyond Genshin, you can also top up in Honkai Star Rail. Lootbar has over 100,000 satisfied users and also supports PS5 and Xbox top-ups. New users can get an extra 10% discount, while returning users get 5%. The link is in the description. Now, I know what some of you are already thinking. You've seen the memes. You've heard people calling him Big Xiangling, or lumping him into that yearly parade of supposed Xiangling replacements. But here's the thing. The new details we just got make him look like way more than a meme unit. And I really think this one is worth breaking down carefully, because there's a chance that Durin could be one of the most important pyro units Genshin has ever released. So, let's start with the biggest takeaway from the leaks. According to the info floating around, Durin doesn't just bring consistent off-field pyro application, supposedly even more effective than Xiangling, but he also comes with something completely wild. The ability to reduce hydro, pyro, and anemo resistance. Yeah, you heard that right. Off-field pyro application alone would have been enough to make him a solid pull, right? After all, Xiangling has been carrying reaction-based teams for years thanks to her Pyronado. But when you stack multi-element resistance shred on top of that moves Durin into an entirely different category. Because now he's not just enabling reactions, he's amplifying the entire team's damage output against multiple elements at the same time. And if you think about it, only a very small handful of characters in the game can even touch this kind of utility right now. And most of the time, you're locked into very niche setups to make it work. So if this resistance shred is standard in his base kit and not locked behind constellations, Durin instantly becomes a must-pull unit. Now, if it is constellation locked, that changes things a lot. It wouldn't be the first time Hoyoverse tied a character's most exciting mechanic to a C2 or a C4. And of course, we still don't know the details like internal cooldowns, energy costs, or how much ER he's going to need to feel smooth in actual gameplay. Those are the little details that make or break a character, and leaks almost never capture that properly. So for now, take it with a grain of salt. But even so, this looks really promising. Alright, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Or I guess the chef in the room. Whenever people bring up a new pyro sub-DPS, Xiangling's name always comes up. And honestly, it makes sense. She's been one of the most powerful free 4-stars in the entire game since launch. Her Pyronado changed the way people thought about sub-DPS units. She applies pyro constantly while off-field. She snapshots buffs like a monster, and she's been the backbone of the national team for literal years. So the idea of getting a 5-star version of that, someone who can do the same job but with higher damage scaling and extra utility stacked on top, is obviously exciting. But here's where I think people need to be careful. We've seen this hype cycle play out before. Remember Dehya? Remember Lainey? Or more recently, characters like Arlecchino and even rumors around others like Mavuika? Every time a flashy new pyro character drops, people say, this is the Xiangling killer. And then, once the dust settles, Xiangling is still right there in the top meta teams. So, is Durin just another entry in the long-running joke about the yearly Xiangling challenger? Or is he the real deal? Personally, I think the fact that he supposedly brings resistance shred changes the conversation. Because now he's not just competing in Xiangling's lane, he's carving out his own space as both an enabler and a universal damage amplifier. And that's the kind of flexibility that makes a character stick around for a long time. Now let's think about how this could actually work in practice. Imagine you're running Durin alongside Nuvolette. Constant Hydro application from Nuvi paired with constant Pyro from Durin, plus Hydro resistance shred, means you're basically turbocharging your vape teams. Or take Columbina. Her leaks point to heavy Hydro dominance as well. If you pair her with Durin, you're looking at something that could feel like the modern version of Bennett plus Xiangling in national teams. One character flooding the field with Hydro, the other coating everything in Pyro, while simultaneously lowering resistances to make every reaction hit harder. And honestly, that kind of deliberate pairing fits perfectly with Hoyoverse's recent design philosophy. If you look back, they've been releasing characters in pairs that are clearly meant to synergize. Durin and Columbina absolutely fit into that mold. Of course, the player base is split right now. On one side, you've got people who are genuinely hyped. I've seen posts from players begging for a 5-star Pyro sub-DPS that finally frees them from the nightmare of farming Xiangling's artifacts or being chained to the same old team rotations. Some are even joking, "Free my child from Xiangling Durin, I'm begging you." But on the other side, there's a lot of skepticism. People point out that saying someone has better Pyro application than Xiangling is basically laughable, because no one has ever come close to her level of off-field consistency. Some even believe it's flat-out impossible without breaking the entire reaction system. And honestly, I get where they're coming from. For me, though, the question isn't really about whether Durin applies more Pyro than Xiangling. It's about whether his resistance shred is reliable, because that's the thing that fundamentally changes how people build teams. If he can consistently reduce Hydro, Pyro, and Anemo resistance, he instantly boosts the value of characters like Wanderer, Nuvolette, Childi, and even some older Hydro DPS units that have been sitting on the sidelines. That's the kind of long-term utility that keeps a character relevant across multiple metas, even if their personal damage numbers don't end up being sky-high. And honestly, this lines up with what Hoyoverse has been doing lately. They've been leaning hard into resistance manipulation. Look at Escoffier, reducing Hydro and Cryo resistance. Look at Citlali, reducing Hydro resistance. Look at Lauma's interactions with Dendro and Hydro. It feels like they're intentionally stacking the deck to make Hydro DPS the centerpiece of the meta. Adding Durin into that picture with Hydro Shred just reinforces the trend, which is great news if you're a Nuvolette or Columbina main. So, where does all this leave us? Honestly, Durin looks like he has the potential to be one of the most impactful Pyro supports we've ever seen. But there are still some huge question marks. How efficient is his energy generation going to be? What's his internal cooldown on Pyro application? Are the resistance shreds part of his base kit? Or are they locked behind constellations? Until we get into beta testing, it's impossible to know. But if even part of these leaks end up being true, it's fair to expect him to sit in the same category as those 4-star glue characters who have defined the game for years. I'm talking about units like Bennett, Xiangling, Xingqiu, the ones who show up in team comps over and over again, regardless of meta shifts. Durin might just be one of those characters. So that's the current state of things. Durin's leaks are looking spicy. Consistent off-field Pyro, multi-element resistance shred, and insane potential synergy with Hydro units. But at the same time, there's a healthy dose of skepticism because we've been burned before by hype that didn't live up to reality. Now I want to hear from you guys. Do you think Durin is finally the 5-star who power creeps Xiangling? Or is this just another case of leakers setting us up for disappointment? And what do you think about the Hydro favoritism we've been seeing in recent kits? Are you excited if you main Hydro units? Or are you frustrated waiting for Cryo and Electro to finally get their turn? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading them. And of course, if you want more deep dives like this and breakdowns that go beyond the surface level hype, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That way, you won't miss the real numbers once beta testing actually begins. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Save up to 25% on current banners at lootbar.gg. Links in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.